There's only one other player in the NBA that can do this to this level, and it's Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
It's
No,
really him and Klay and everybody else when it comes to their hot streaks. When they are on, they are on. What is going on? I want to welcome you from half court for today, Monday, April 4th. I, of course, am your Sean Murphy alongside my guy, Jeff Iafrady. Jeff, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's a beautiful Sunday. Watch some
Yeah.
Saddiq Bey, 6 for 6 in that first quarter. We got a lot to talk about, man.
Oh, dude,
Really?
there's a lot to talk about. And it's an exciting week. Obviously now, Jeff just had his last show on the Morning Woodward show this past week, and now it's full-time content, full-time doing stuff. So we get to see Jeff's face here from half court more often, which I am all about. Absolutely
Oh
all
yeah.
about. And Jeff, how you feeling about everything? You feeling excited to go, rearing up? You're gonna start making videos on your own channel, the Jeff Iafrady one too, right?
Yes, I'm gonna do. Obviously, we got from half court. We have Woodward Pistons, and we're gonna be branching off doing a bunch of stuff for them. So, hey, if you're a Pistons fan, and I know a lot of people have been following everyone in Pistons Twitter, like now we have
Mm-hmm.
a safe haven like Woodward Pistons, where everyone's content will be posted. So I'm
Yeah.
excited, man. Woodward Pistons from half court to the moon, baby. To the
To the
moon.
freaking
To the
moon, bro.
sky is the
100%.
ceiling.
We're
Or the
going there,
ceiling is
mother. Yeah, the ceiling is the roof. The
yeah, the
ceiling
ceiling is
is
the
the
roof.
roof.
That's what it was. Shout out to
100%.
MJ.
Oh, yeah. So be sure you're following Woodward Pistons on Twitter. Also, be sure to follow From Half Court on Twitter. We're there
Yeah,
now. Yep.
on Twitter.
FH Court Pod. From Half Court is taken by some inactive Twitter account where they have 2 followers, and one of them is me. Pisses me off. But anyway, that's okay. But this is From Half Court, where Jeff and I talk about all things NBA basketball. You're home for NBA basketball at the Woodward Sports Network. If you like that, be sure to follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff Iafrady, myself at Sean Half Court. Be sure to check out all the content on Woodward Sports. Be sure to check out Woodward Pistons. Be sure to check out everything, because you're not going to want to miss a damn thing of what's coming. We had Terry Foster on this past week to talk about Isaiah Thomas on Thursday. There was some juicy stuff that came out of that. It was a really interesting interview. One of the things he talked about, and I think this is a story that Isaiah Thomas or that people might refute. At one point, Isaiah Thomas had a contract on the table from Bill Davidson, where reportedly he had percentage of the team in ownership part of the deal. That was one of the stories that came. Dude, it was nuts. That, like,
Dang.
if you haven't seen that interview, there's a ton of stuff that came out of it. So be sure to go check that out. There's some newsworthy stuff in there. I'm dead serious. But anyway,
Uncle T is like he's just a book of stories.
yeah,
Yeah, he's awesome.
dude, the
Very
guy's
thoughtful.
a encyclopedia when it comes to
Yeah.
Pistons basketball. It's insane. Like the
Yeah, he is.
amount that man knows about Isaiah Thomas. Oh my God, it's insane. But I mean, seriously, just a lot of good stuff's coming. And speaking of things that are crazy, Jeff, we had to have a debate about what this video is even going to be about, because today we went in and we were fully expecting to talk about Killian Hayes, because Killian Hayes just had an amazing performance in Oklahoma City. He's been really surging of late. Things have been great. But then that man, Saddiq Bey, decided to go 6 for 6 behind the arc in the first 6 minutes of the game, and also decided to score 26 points in the first half again. Like, Jeff, when I look at Saddiq Bey and I look at the surges that he can go on and the hot streaks, there's only one other player in the NBA that can do this to this level, and it's Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
It's really him and Klay and everybody else when it comes to their hot streaks. When they are on, they are on. What did you see from Saddiq today, and what is going on? Like, this is insane.
And listen, that's why Saddiq Bey, man, he's the definition of 3-and-D. And he's been, you talked about Klay Thompson. That's probably a very fair comparison, considering the clip he hits at, like 6-and-6, 6-4-6 in the first quarter. I think he did that 2 other times this season. So when he's hot, he's hot. But that's kind of the thing with Saddiq, is when he's hot. It's the inconsistency with Saddiq. And obviously the 3-point shot, in terms of percentages, shot 38% his rookie year, and now he's kind of lowered it to 34.5. But again, like he upped his 3-point attempt, so he's just been more involved in the offense. Maybe one thing you'd ask of him is that consistency, but when he's on, and he's a great piece to any team. Like whether he's your third or fourth scorer, it does not matter. I'm assuming, who knows how much better he can get. He's at 16 points per game this year. I kind of see him around that standpoint. He's just like a great spot up shooter. He can defend. multiple positions, and he's the perfect player to sit next to Cade Cunningham. He is.
Yeah, if you leave him alone for literally a second, they
Yeah.
are looking to get him the ball at all times, like beyond the 3-point line, whether it's in the corner, like literally wherever it is.
And
And
one other thing with Saddiq, though, before you go on, is
yeah,
that I've noticed with him is his confidence, not just beyond the arc, but creating for himself, around the free throw line. He had a shot today. I was watching the game versus the Pacers before I hopped on, and he's hitting 6 for 6 from deep. And then he
mhm,
does a dribble pull in, he fade away mid range over smaller defender. Like that's the things I look for Saddiq Bey is like,
yeah.
yes, you're a great outside shooter, but the things he can do inside and his versatility, man. Whew, he's got the package. He just has
Yeah.
to unlock it. That's really what it is.
Oh, 100%. And it's the thing where I asked this question literally his rookie year, and I ask myself this literally every single day. How in the actual hell did this guy drop to the 19th overall pick slot? I understand, it was a good draft. It was a good draft class, like there was kind of concerns about what his ceiling could be, but that's the $1 million question is what is this guy's ceiling? Because certainly a lot of teams just thought he was going to be a serviceable starter. I'm not going to lie. That's what I thought he was going to be at first. I thought he was just going to be a solid 3-and-D guy. That it was like a Tayshaun Prince, where it's like he might not be a star, but like a lot of the things he can do for you, like you need on a winning team, right?
Right.
But Saddiq Bey has the intangibles to be a star. I mean, not just any guy can go and score 51 points in an NBA game, right? And Saddiq's ability, to your point, like last year, he set that 3-point record for the Pistons, and it obviously became a thing where teams recognize, oh, we have to respect this guy from beyond the arc because if we leave him open, he's gonna make it.
Right.
But now, like you said, now his ability to put the ball on the court, to penetrate, to try and actually create his own offense in the mid range and in the paint, like that's the kind of stuff that's going to make the difference between Saddiq Bey just being a serviceable starter. And in my opinion, he can be an all-star someday. He really has that ability. It reminds me like I think at his best, I think he can be very much like a Chris Middleton, where he can defend really well.
Mhm.
He can hit clutch shots, and he could just be that dependable shooter for you. Now, again, the one thing with Saddiq, it truly feels like his game is all or nothing. It feels like he is either putting up a 25, 30, 40 point performance, hitting all of his shots, firing on all cylinders, shooting efficient, or he shoots 1 of 9, or I've seen this guy
Right.
shoot 1 of 11 from the 3-point arc plenty of times this season.
Yeah. And that's the problem. I think if you had to name one with Saddiq is
Mhm.
like I mentioned before, inconsistent, but not just that. It's almost like like you were saying, he could start off 6 for 6 in the first quarter, and then the next game 2 for 7, or he's 1 for 8, wherever it is from 3-point range, and that's when it becomes difficult because I look at Saddiq like this: he doesn't have to be, or he's not going to be your best player.
Mhm.
Obviously, like Cade Cunningham's the guy. You're going to draft another person this year, but he's a great piece. Like Chris
Yeah.
Middleton, I thought was a great example you brought up. He's somebody that Saddiq Bey from his rookie year to now his sophomore year, he's upped his steals in terms of steals.
Yeah.
He hasn't cleared above a steal a game, but he's 0.7. He went to 0.9. The assist doubled a little bit. He's obviously playing more minutes, but you want Saddiq to be more valuable in other ways. Like when you're not hitting your shot, I always say, what are you when your shot's not falling? Saddiq's kind of figuring that out as he goes. Like,
Right.
can you be more of a little, like you said, put the ball on the court and be a playmaker in a way. But like I said, his value is shooting the 3 ball, and that's
Yeah.
something this team has lacked. So it's going to be awesome to see him grow and his game develop because already in his
Yeah.
second year, his question was always, last year you heard it, is he a 2 guard? No, he's not, because Saddiq Bey, we haven't seen, at least in his rookie year, can he put the ball on the floor and can
Mhm.
he do what a 2 guard does and at least run your offense? And no, he's not. He's a spot up shooter, but I think there's, like you said, the intangibles. There's so much
Yeah.
unlocked with Saddiq Bey, and I think Dwayne Casey's the right coach for him, just letting him loose
Oh.
like this last stretch of games. It's been awesome to see.
Oh,
It really has.
100%. I think a piece of Saddiq Bey's game that's really underrated too is his rebounding. Like there's
Yeah.
games this season where he's gotten as high as 17, 16 rebounds in a game. There's been moments where he's been a more reliable rebounder than Isaiah Stewart has been, which is kind of crazy when you think
Yeah.
about it. So,
It is.
so for Saddiq, like to find those pieces on the court, like you said, where okay, your shot's not falling. What do you do? That's going to be the thing for him to find out. And now, don't get me wrong, there are going to be a lot of nights where his shots are falling. There are going to be a lot of nights, but
Absolutely.
again, how can you evolve? What is that next step? And that is the interesting thing, because I truly believe that the ceiling of this team is also as high as where Saddiq can help take them. Because I think Cade's game, that's going to be one thing. Whoever we draft this summer, that's going to be a big piece too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone needs their Robin. Everyone needs their go-to number 2 or number 3, like that. One of the big reasons why we're seeing the Philadelphia 76ers struggle right now is they know who their 1 and 2 is, but they don't have a consistent 3. Like Tyrese Maxey, maybe. Tobias Harris, maybe.
Yeah. It's like by committee, to your point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's to your point. And I think one underrated aspect is like when you do get a lottery player, or let's just say you acquire a star via trade or free agency, whatever it is, when teams are not focusing, they're going to be focusing on Saddiq Bey. But when the attention's on Cade and an X, whoever it is, Saddiq Bey is going to be the benefit of that. He's going to get more open shots. So, and he's shown he can hit them at a high clip. So it's going to be awesome to see Saddiq when this team gets better. I mean, right now he's really the second option on this. Well, as of right now, Jeremy Grant's obviously injured, but without Cade, he's been the number 1 option. You saw it today. Number 1 option on that floor is 6 for 6 from in the first quarter. So he's going to get more opportunities as this team adds more talent. I'm excited to see what he looks like when he's getting, teams have to make a decision. Do I double, a Chet Holmgren, a Jabari Smith, or do I have Cade and then I have Saddiq in the corner? Like, good luck. You're gonna have to choose wisely. You're gonna have to choose wisely.
Oh dear God, man. It's crazy, because truly a couple of years ago, if you were to do a ranking going into the 2020 draft of the teams with the most young talent, the Pistons would have been 30th. They had like literally our best prospects at that time were Luke Kennard and Svi Mikhailuk.
Everyone remembers Svi.
And then Bruce Brown, like maybe. You know what I mean? That was our young core.
Mm-hmm.
But then in that draft, to not only get a guy like Killian, not only get a guy like Beef Stew, but to have Saddiq Bey all in your lap at the 19th overall pick. And it kills me, because if you look at this, if you were to do a redraft, there's no way Saddiq gets out of the top 5.
Yeah.
Like no chance. Like right now, obviously, LaMelo would probably go number 1. Anthony Edwards, he would probably go 2. And then you look at the rest of the draft class, there's guys like, I would imagine like Tyrese Halliburton, he would go 3. You can make an argument between Saddiq and Tyrese Maxey for like who would go 4 and 5, but like that's a good place to be in if that's the and again, we had 3 picks in the first round and he was our 3rd.
Yeah.
Like what that is the guy that you're blessed to get, in the top 10. That's a guy that you're blessed if he falls that far. 19th. Unbelievable.
Yeah. You can make a legitimate argument. He goes 7 to the Pistons if you do a redraft. Like he'd
be off the board by then, you'd think.
Because look at yeah, like you said, you have Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, Nneka Okongwu, and then those guys, like you said, you can argue Saddiq Bey for 3 of them. Patrick Williams, I'd probably take Saddiq Bey over. Yeah, you really have 3 players. James Wiseman, injury purposes, I'll take Saddiq. So he's a top 3 prospect, man. But
yeah, 100%. And as he keeps going forward, as he keeps having games like this, it just gives us more and more reason to wonder what that next step looks like. Now, next year, year 3, obviously, another regular summer, more talent coming into the franchise, higher expectations. I would imagine Saddiq is very much still going to have a role in what's going on. I do think that next piece of the game is just going to be that consistency. And like another thing he's been doing is getting to the line more too. That's been really valuable for us as well. So if he can just keep getting to the line, hitting his shots more consistently, because again, if you're putting you're not going to be allowed to have a game where you're going 1 of 13 from beyond the arc. Like you're going to be on the bench before that happens next year, because the expectations are different now, right? So with a young team like the Pistons or where we're at right now, no problem. If you have a night where it's 1 for 13, well, it's like, hey, you're taking 13. We can figure that out. We can get better as it goes on. But right now, but like this time next year, hell no.
Yeah. And that's the trade-off. You might get let's say from 3-point range, if he's getting 9 to 12 attempts, like in an actual game now with the minutes he's getting and the opportunities he's getting next year, even if he gets like 6, 7, 8 shots per game from the 3-point line, like he's at least getting better at shots. Like they'll look at least more than what they are now. The attention won't be solely focused on Saddiq Bey from a year from now. So that's going to be the benefit, at least from Saddiq's perspective. You'll get better shots, but to your point, you'll get less of them. So if you're not hitting them, there's not as much of a leash. You don't have the leeway like you did this year. So things will be different.
Right. Well, it's even interesting because another guy on this team that can play a very similar role if Saddiq is struggling and he needs to come in, Isaiah Livers, man. He is a beacon of consistency.
He is. And talk about 3-and-D, man. Those 3-and-D wing players are the most valuable right now than they have ever been in the NBA because positionless basketball is upon us, ladies and gentlemen.
It's here.
And if you have somebody who's 6'7" who can defend multiple positions and hit threes, your value's at an all-time high. And we found a stud in Isaiah Livers, so he's another piece, man. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, you know what? If they just want to keep giving us these kinds of pieces, let these guys fall in the draft in our laps, we'll take it. Seriously, we'll take it. But the question is, what do you think of Saddiq Bey? Let us know in the comment section down below. Do you think he has the ceiling to be an NBA All-Star? Because I think Jeff and I certainly feel that he does. We want to thank you so much for tuning in because From Half Court is your official home for NBA and Pistons content. And we will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.